Welcome into the Lantern Sports Preview Show. I'm your host, Casey Smith, and joining me, as usual, is Gabe Burggraf. This week on tap, we have the homecoming game, big parade on Friday, Gabe. I know you're going to be there. Number 3, Ohio State is welcoming the Rutgers Scarlet Knights coming to Columbus in the final game of Ohio State's 5-game homestand to open the season. Gabe, who are some of the players that you're watching in this weekend's matchup?
Well, it starts on offense for Ohio State. You know, Emeka Egbuka has filled in the absence of Jackson Smith-Njigba, averaging over 15 yards a catch and over 100 yards a game. He's a guy that scored in each game twice against Wisconsin. He's somebody who's found the end zone quite a lot, either over the middle and making something happen after the catch or, runs, end arounds. Whatever Ohio State needs him to do, he's kind of a Swiss Army knife for that Buckeye offense. And
who's going to be the guy on the Rutgers Scarlet Knights squad that's going to try and stop him?
Yeah, for Rutgers, it's going to be senior defensive back Christian Izien. He has 32 tackles on the year. Hasn't really broke up many passes this year, so it'll be interesting to see him in coverage more if the Buckeyes do throw it all over the yard like they did against Graham Mertz and the Badgers. But he had 15 tackles against Iowa last week, including 1 sack. So, he's going to be a disruptor. It's on Ohio State and C.J. Stroud to not throw right at him or lead guys into him and just keep him out of a rhythm, because that's the way that Rutgers stays in this game and plays a little bit into their hands.
And you mentioned Ohio State throwing it around the yard. They've had an explosive offense this year. 18 plays have gone for 30 or more yards. Try and wrap your head around that. That's an insane clip. Ohio State, they're leading the country in that department. You were talking about Emeka Egbuka scoring all those touchdowns and whatnot,
right.
At least one a game. Ohio State, they're doing the same in the red zone. They get those big plays, those big chunk plays to get themselves down in the red zone. 20 red zone trips. They've scored on all of them. 18 touchdowns of those 20 trips have resulted in punching it in the end zone. So Ohio State, they're really finishing off their drives and getting into the end zone, which has really helped that scoring offense, which is number 3 in the country. On the defensive side, Tommy Eichenberg, Mike Hall, JT Tuimoloau, those type guys, they're really getting in the backfield and disrupting plays. And Ohio State has 30 tackles for loss, which is 7 off the lead in the FBS. I believe they're top 10 in that department. So with Rutgers sort of shuffling around at the quarterback position, they're still trying to find their footing on the offensive end. That should be a factor to watch for that Ohio State defense. As for Rutgers, though, their defense is pretty stout as well. They're allowing just under 250 yards per game, which is top 10 in the FBS. Who would have thought Rutgers?
Right. Who would have thought Rutgers in the top 10?
Just with all their struggles and whatnot, you got to give credit to Greg Schiano, former Ohio State defensive coordinator, for stepping in and changing that scheme and really finding his footing in that department. They're allowing 17.3 points per game, which is also very impressive, 25th in the FBS. On the offensive end, they're sort of struggling in the pass game. Like I mentioned, they're shuffling quarterbacks. Safety Ronnie Hickman said earlier this week that they're going to be ready no matter who lines up under center in the shotgun for the Scarlet Knights. They're 111th in the FBS in pass yards per game. So Ohio State, they're going to be able to throw the ball around the yard. Rutgers, not so much. So expect Rutgers really to try and establish the run and really get that ground game going to maybe open up some play action opportunities with the pass.